Right. While we're not due to get a new Doctor Who until Christmas of next year, 2026, what we do get to go fill out the rest of the year is the Doctor Who mini-series spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea. Now, I didn't think we were going to get this until 2026, but hey, Christmas came a little early this year, and now we get this. Apparently, they have been working on a Doctor Who unit spin off for a little while. It's been kind of rumoured for years, but this is finally what we got. And sees the return of several unit personnel, including Kate Stewart, played once again by Gemma Redgrave, Shirley Ann Bingham, the unit's 56th scientific advisor, played by Ruth Madeley, and Colonel Christopher Ibrahim, played once again by Alexander Deviant, or as Ellie from Who Culture refers to him, Colonel Sexy. To which I will admit, in episode 2 of this miniseries, Plastic Apocalypse, I was watching this with a family member nearby, and when they saw kind of Kate and Colonel Ibrahim kind of messing about in the hotel bedroom, they were like, whoa, 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 whoa. I mean, does this happen in the show? I was like, it was hinted at. Like, it's hinted at for a little while that there's something between the two. It's like, oh, I mean, cavorting with your high-ranking officer seems a little dodgy, but anyway. But the series doesn't really focus on them. Well, it does, but not as much as you might think. So the series mainly focuses around a character named Barclay Pierre Dupont, played by Russell Tovey, who previously had a role in Doctor Who back in 2007 Christmas special, where he played Titanic's midshipman Alonzo Frame. He did also briefly reprise the role in David Tennant's final episode, The End of Time, final regular episode, The End of Time Part 2 in 2010, where Captain John Barrowman's Captain Jack Harkness struck up a conversation with him. But anyway, as I said, the series mainly focuses around Barclay. He is the level 10 member of unit, very low down, and his role at first is just to assign transport for various people within a unit. However, things start to change when he is suddenly, mistakenly recruited for a mission where they end up encountering a new version of the Sea Devils. Now, when Chris Chibnall brought back the Sea Devils into Doctor Who for 2022's Legend of the Sea Devils, that's actually an episode I don't particularly mind. I actually quite like it, although I have seen online that that's a less than popular opinion. Like, some people really didn't like Legend of the Sea Devils. But one thing about it that I remember was that they continued to use the original design from the 70s, which I didn't mind. Part of me had been hoping we'd get to see a new design for the Sea Devils, but at the time, it didn't put me off too much. And this time, though, we do get a new design for the Sea Devils, and like what they do with the Silurians, I think it does pretty well. Anyway, he's brought in by another character named General Austin Pierce, played by Colin McFarlane. Now, Colin McFarlane is an actor who, if you ask me what he's been in, the main thing that my mind would go to was, I think, a 2008 mini-kids series called Hounded, where basically he played the villain of the TV show Dr. Muhuhaha, who was constantly going up against Rufus Hound, always finding a rather ludicrous method for trying to take over the world. However, Colin McFarlane is another one like Russell Tovey in that he has actually appeared in Doctor Who before. Back in 2015, he played the character of Moran in the two-parter Under the Lake and Before the Flood with the 12th Doctor. He is killed very early on in the episode and subsequently becomes a ghost for the rest of the two-parter, kind of leading people to their deaths. To which I will also say about Colin McFarlane, you know those memes that occasionally pass through your feed of, like, if you were going to get someone other than Morgan Freeman to narrate the story of your life, who would you choose? And you get the likes of Morgan Freeman, you get the likes of Ian McKellen, some may go for Tim Curry. Can I ask that we add Colin McFarlane to the list? Because he has got one of the deepest, richest voices I've ever heard. Like, he could read anything and it would probably sound awesome. Because I honestly think Colin McFarlane, his voice is a treasure. Oh, sorry, sore throat. Anyway, the last character who I want... Anyway, one other thing I quickly want to mention about Austin Pierce, Joel Austin Pierce, is that when he finds out that Barclay is pretty much just a civilian, a transport assistant, I do like the way he writes it. That's like other military people may have gone, oh dear, we're in a bucket load of trouble here, but his kind of reaction to it is, well, okay then, we messed up, we made a mistake, but in all these kind of military engagements, it's always good to have one member of the public in order to witness. I like that approach of his. Anyway, all of this eventually leads to a series of peace talks between the humans and the Sea Devils, because for those who may not know, within the Doctor Who universe, the Sea Devils, as well as their cousins, the Silurians, they aren't actually aliens. Aliens implies another planet, whereas the Silurians and the Sea Devils, they come from planet Earth. They were the previous owners of the planet before humanity evolved, and they pretty much just want to reclaim their planet. Anyway, the Sea Devils and the humans set up a series of peace talks, and Barclay ends up getting roped into being effectively the ambassador for the H2O community. He's trying to plead for kind of leniency with the Sea Devils after the Sea Devils leader Salt, played by Gugu Mbatha-Raw, effectively appoints him. Like, she sees all the other politicians and military personnel, and she knows that they're doing things out of strategy, but she wants him to talk because he was one who actually showed the Sea Devils some respect, some kindness. To which Gugu Mbatha-Raw is the last one I want to bring up here, in that she also previously had a role in Doctor Who. If you remember back to 2007, she played while these days she's mainly known for playing the character of Ravonna Renslayer, aka Terminatrix, in the series Loki. Back in 2007, she appeared in Doctor Who as Tish Jones, the younger sister of the Doctor's companion, Martha Jones. So while the two characters aren't related, just like the other two aren't, it is fun to see her back in this role. And I will admit, so far, with the first two episodes, Homo Aqua and Plastic Apocalypse, I'm really interested in this series. I mean, clearly it's not the same type of show that the likes of Torchwood or the Sarah Jane Adventures were. I can see kind of various small similarities to Class, but the big thing that I've seen people compare this to online is the third series of Torchwood, Children of Earth. And I have seen a lot of people claim that is one of their favourite pieces of the Doctor Who universe. It's one big story, but it's dark, it's grim, and it makes you question things. And so far, that's exactly what the War Between the Land and the Sea is doing. I mean, it's clearly trying to preach a message to us about the future and about how we need to take better care of our oceans and the water and the like, but the way they do it, it doesn't feel patronising. Like, if you remember back to 2020 with the Doctor Who episode Orphan 55. Now, there were two episodes in 2020 that technically preached an environmental message. Orphan 55 and Praxeus. And while I didn't mind Praxeus so much, I found that with Orphan 55, they hammered the message on the head just a little bit too much. But here, I actually think, while it's clear it's sending a message about our oceans and about taking care of our environment, it doesn't feel patronising. Like, one of the first things that Salt ends up doing with these meetings is that she asks to be granted a glass of water. And while they at first say, oh yes, that could be provided, she then said, from the river. To which everyone looks a bit surprised, but they fulfill it. And she says to Barley, no, it's not for me, it's for you. I want you to drink it. Even though everyone can immediately tell that this is a very bad idea, because the water from the river is filthy. To which he says, I cannot probably drink this. And why not? Well, I just can't. And even then, like, the way they kind of argue some of the points, like I said, you get the message, but it feels like you allowed to kind of process it a little bit more. Like, when Barley ends up kind of reading from the script and saying that they can clean up the rivers, clean up the oceans or the like, but it will take time. And they asked for like a period of 40 years just to kind of get everything straight. That's the least they could do. And Salt feels offended by this, that they can't do it sooner. It's like, well, we haven't got the money, we haven't got the infrastructure to do it. It's like, that's not good enough. And even when she tries arguing that humanity will now be confined to land and that the seas are theirs, someone tries arguing, well, hang on, some of us live on islands. Are we not allowed transport across the oceans in order to kind of get back to our islands? You're like, no, the water's ours. What, can't we use planes? No, the sky above the water is ours as well. And you really do, you understand the messages, you sympathise with it, but you don't feel talked down to. And so far, I think that The War Between the Land and the Sea is doing a really good job as a spin-off. Would I like to see multiple seasons of this? Probably not. I think we're only getting 5 episodes of this. They're all coming out before Christmas. But for the first 2 episodes, I feel like The War Between the Land and the Sea is off to a good start. I can't wait to see what they come up with next. In this, we've had Homo Aqua, Plastic Apocalypse. Can't wait to see what they do next with The Deep. Anyway, until the next episodes, see you then.